Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 12th September 2017. The first article, Centre will respect Jammu and Kashmir's special status, says Rajnath Singh. You know that Union Home Minister is on a visit to Kashmir to meet all different sections of the society. In this, he has assured the Kashmiri community that Article 370 will be respected. You know that 370 provides for special status to Kashmir, where they will have their own citizenship and separate constitution, and union laws will not automatically apply to them. So, in this context, Kashmiris see Article 370 as a lifeline that connects them with the rest of India. And a few sections of the establishment, they see that Article 370 is the major reason for the alienation of the Kashmiris. So in this context, whenever the Article 370 status is questioned, it has further alienated the Kashmiris. So they believe or they feel that they are being left or they are being deceived by not fulfilling the promises which have been made under Article 370 by the Constitution. But we have to remember that Article 370 was a transient temporary provision in the Constitution. And second aspect is Article 35A of the Constitution is also in recent news. Now, no outsiders can buy the property within Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir. So here, this was challenged in the Supreme Court. The matter is before the Supreme Court and we have to see how it will move forward. Aviation and Home Ministries spar over regulating drones. This is about interdepartmental coordination. The Civil Aviation Ministry states that either it is manned or unmanned vehicles, they come under its purview. And recently, Home Ministry has made a set of rules to regulate the drones, which has been questioned by the Civil Aviation Ministry. And then, parties call for hybrid system. So what is this hybrid electoral system? As of now, we have the first past the post system. It means that whoever gets the majority of the votes among the contesting candidates will be declared as elected. Along with that, we have proportional representation system. It means that proportional representation system, there shall be parity between the votes polled and the seats gained. So in India, we follow FPTP. Now, there are recommendations asked from the political parties, Congress, NCP, these have stated that we need to have an hybrid model. Certain seats in the Lok Sabha have to be filled through proportional representation. If you take the recent UP elections, BSP got more votes than the SP, but the number of seats gained by BSP are less than SP. And second, the difference of votes between that is SP and also BJP, it is almost around 15% or 18% if I am not wrong. But the difference of the seats, it is more than 250. So it means, it clearly shows that the first past the post system, though is simplistic, has its own disadvantages. So that's why, not shifting entirely to the proportional representation which can cause instability, we have to make a way in between, a hybrid model in between. That's what is being discussed over here. Now let's get into the editorial page. In the air, the Government of India, Civil Aviation Ministry, it has provided for the no-fly list. As per these rules, any unruly passenger, he has to be grounded or the airline can keep him in the no-fly list. Other airlines, if they are willing, they can also follow that. If not, they can leave it aside. So 30 minutes an airline can make a decision. After that, he will get a 60 days to appeal that. So in this process, we understand it this way. The no-fly list is going to be a strong weapon in the hands of the airlines to discipline the passengers. Obviously, when a service has failed, when there was inefficiency with regard to the airlines, then it will lead to some rage among the passengers. If airlines take an easy way out through applying no-fly list, then it is going to make the things worsen. So no-fly list has to act as a deterrence to the passengers from unruly behavior, but it is not an weapon to be misused by the airlines for their advantage. Already you have seen United Airlines in the United States of America and how it has unruly behaved with a passenger, how he was being pulled out of the aeroplane. So in this case, we need to be very careful when this no-fly list is being implemented, especially in a service industry such as transport. And coming to new strategy world game, it is about the Trump's Afghan policy. How the Trump's Afghan policy is different from the past? Will it make an impact? These are the questions we need to ask for ourselves. Though Trump said this is a policy based in regional approach, none of the regional leaders are really happy with the policy or actively involving with the policy. But still, there are certain remarkable features in this. Now, there is no time limit has been stated for the withdrawal of the forces. Previously, Obama has a deadline during which the troops need to be withdrawn from the Afghanistan. With this new policy, no such deadline is there. And the targets are very much clear. They have to go behind Al-Qaeda, ISIS, etc. on the Afghanistan territory. It means that the way the people or the troops stationed in Afghanistan work, the quality of work which they do is bound to change now. And the second thing is, we also need to look at the perspective of Pakistan. Mr. Trump has clearly stated that Pakistan shall not give safe havens to the terrorists. And is he really placed to make such a statement? We have to understand here. Geostrategically, Pakistan is located and dependence on the Pakistan is necessary for the US for logistical management. Because once the relations with Russia were strained and once its base in Kazakhstan is closed, there is no other way for the US to approach to Afghanistan. So that's why dependence on the Pakistan is eventual. And second aspect is USA is trying to tighten the noose of aid on the Pakistan, military aid on the Pakistan, to get its policy objective fulfilled. But if Pakistan is pushed to the wall, obviously it is going to do no good for US or to the Pakistan or to the Afghanistan. In this context, Mr. Ashraf Ghani appears to be more pragmatic and practical, where he wanted the Pakistan to realize the economic potential and wealth that can be generated through Afghanistan. Because Afghanistan is also strategically located, Pakistan can connect to West Asia and Pakistan can get connected to Central Asia and from there to the Europe through the Afghanistan. So that's the reason why the policy is expected to be more pragmatic rather than just acting as a few words. And third aspect is cooperation from India is also expected as per the policy. And what the expectations from India are not very clear. It appears that Mr. Trump is expecting certain boots from India on the soil. But India don't want to involve itself beyond a point in Afghanistan. It wants to confine itself to the constructive role. And India is the most trusted ally of the Afghanistan, and it is also a regional force. But India is not interested to enlarge its role beyond a point in Afghanistan. And Russia, it said, this particular policy is a dead end. China has its own interest to stabilize the Afghanistan for its One Belt, One Road initiative. So in this case, we need to be very clear with this. The regional players who are important for the Afghanistan, they did not have an admission of this particular policy. So that's why the regional approach cannot be well taken for over here. If you see Iran is one of the important neighbors to Afghanistan, and Iran is nowhere part of the deal with the policy of the US on Afghanistan. So in this context, without Iran, as more and more Taliban are moving between Iran and Afghanistan now, without involvement of the Iran, no concrete results can also be seen. So that's why the statement is, the Afghanistan policy is nothing but a regional approach. Next is the resilience of our liberalism. So here again, our liberalism is based on recent judgment of right to privacy. Now, few important statements we have to see. The Constitution is not about present. The Constitution is about the future. The Constitution is making the future to evolve. So that's why the right to privacy as a judgment we have to see as a judgment of extension of human dignity into the future. That's the point we need to remember over here. Other than that, whatever the points which are there are been already covered for you. Now, reappraising the Raj. Whenever we remember the British Raj, let's take around 1700, India's GDP among the world is around 27%. During Raj, it has come down close to or less than 1%. And in the last years, from 1900 to 1947, the economic growth is 0.001%. These are the statistics given by Shashi Tharoor. So that's why whenever we say colonial regime, we try to indicate it as a reason for all our problems. But colonial regime also has given certain institutions, certain life patterns to us. So if you take Lord Ripon, he was responsible for local government. Mr. Lytton. So all these people have reformed administrative systems in the country. So one person we need to remember today for two important things is Mr. Macaulay. So Macaulay is the law minister, and Mr. Macaulay is responsible for drafting the Indian Penal Code, which we are following today. And it means that he laid the foundations for rule of law in the country. And Macaulay Minute is also famous for English education in the United States. And he wanted to reform and civilize the people, and that develops a greater market for the goods of UK. That's what his line of thought is. So to an extent, the prosperity of India today and systemic functioning of law and order in the country can be given, the credit can be given to Macaulay. Now state on the other side, you know that you have a citizen and the state. So the state shall be a limited state. It means that the rights of the citizens have to confine the powers of the state. So in this case, as the powers of the state are increasing, obviously it becomes a threat to the rights of the citizen. When the citizens' rights are increasing, the limitations on the power of the state are bound to increase. So in this context, a progressive liberal state will be positive towards the expansion of the rights of the citizens. On the other hand, a state that is centered around power and state that is working towards its selfish interests will be keeping itself away from the rights of the citizens. So across the world, the states wants to minimize the rights of the citizens so that the limitations of its action can also be minimized. So in this context, either you take marital rape or in the case of religious conversions recently, or in the case of right to privacy, the state is on the other side of the judgment. So individual forms the basis for our constitution and fundamental rights. So in these circumstances, when an individual is being questioned, when an individual is becoming a pragmatic over here, understand carefully, constitution is based on individual, and when individual rights are being questioned, then the state will lose its legitimacy slowly. That's what the point we need to take home. The track to success. This is about high-speed rail in India. Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail is going to be realized with the Japanese partnership soon. What are the advantages of this? Wherever the infrastructure has developed, economic prosperity has increased. If you take the Golden Quadrilateral for developing the national highways has improved the economic activity across the country. And second thing is, these are ecologically good because they reduce the less carbon. It means the carbon footprint of this is very less. And third thing is, technologically, it can raise the thinking of our engineering establishment to the next level in the country. So these are the advantages which we shall see with regard to rail. And coming to the world, a textbook example of ethnic cleansing, UN Rights Head has stated. UN Rights Head Mr. Al Hussein has clearly stated that the Rohingya issue is a systematic ethnic cleansing, and is the toughest language which has come from UN High Commissioner on Refugees. One more important article which I need to show you is this. Firing Comey was Trump's biggest mistake. So Mr. Comey, FBI director, was fired by Mr. Trump, and by this he was involved himself with investigative process. In the United States, executive is not expected to involve himself with the investigation. That is considered as a red line. So, with regard to Comey's firing, there is a clear indication that Trump was expecting some answer, some investigation lineup from him. And then, one more. Now, the Supreme Court restores IRP's role in JP case. So, this is insolvency professional. As for bankruptcy and insolvency code, everywhere we shall have someone called as insolvency professional. So it means this has been challenged by the JP associates in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has gave the insolvency professional the work to move forward, permission to move forward. And then Bitcoin, blockchain, ICE India. Understand cryptocurrencies are an important topic for this year under the topic money laundering. So cryptocurrencies have raised many challenges to the country, India was also trying to bring in a policy towards the cryptocurrencies. And one of the important player in this blockchain, it is aiming to come back to India. So these are the articles for today, and they will be available to you at laix.in/civils prep. Thank you very much. All the best.